Euranet Plus Panorama is a weekly review of European news broadcast by our network of EU radio stations.
Welcome back to Euranet Plus Panorama. After months of delicate discussions, Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen on Tuesday presented member states with their prospective commissioner portfolios. Some commissioner-designates are likely to be happier with their assigned roles than others. And of course it remains to be seen if her selection will pass muster come the European Parliament hearings. In the eyes of many Austrians, says Agora, Austrian Finance Minister Magnus Brunner, whose Austrian People's Party sits in the EPP group, may have been handed a poisoned chalice in the form of the Internal Affairs and Migration portfolio. It's true that migration is going to be a meaty issue going forward. However, Brunner's selection for this role suggests a toughening of the bloc's stance on irregular migration and returns. And at least, says Austrian Social Democrat Philipp Kucher, he wasn't let loose on the finances.
His political record, especially in the fight against inflation, is anything but positive. And the result is that now we not only have high prices in Austria, but also billions in debt, for which Magnus Brunner bears responsibility. And the question of which task Brunner would take on is likely to have arisen during the selection process. On the basis of his balance sheet, the decision was made already. The main thing was nothing to do with money.
Hauptsache, nix mit Geld.
A country that has all but secured a big economic role in the new Commission is Poland, which is fist-pumping over landing the budget portfolio. It's exactly the one they were after, says Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski. And perhaps not for entirely altruistic reasons. Polski Radio reports.
We know
that the role of the Budget Commissioner in constructing the next 7-year budget and these national envelopes, as well as the division between the structural funds and the central funds of the European Union, these are going to be the key decisions that will affect how much money ultimately goes to Poland. So I think we have an optimal portfolio.
Commissioner-designate Hadja Labib is down to take charge of preparedness, crisis management and equality. And Belgium's foreign minister thinks she's well placed to hit the ground running, if she does say so herself.
I think this is a portfolio that suits me well, and one in which I'll also be able to capitalize on past experience. We intervened, for example, following the earthquake in Turkey, if you remember, by setting up a field hospital. We intervened when a dam broke in Libya. Just last week, I sent more than 500 tents to Gaza to help the Palestinians get through the winter.
Ekaterina Zakharieva, Bulgaria's nominated commissioner, has been appointed by VDL to tackle the area of startups, research and innovation. Interestingly, culture and youth, which previously formed part of the research and innovation portfolio, have been removed. Bulgarian Renew Europe member Ilian Kyuchuk tells BNR that this reduction in responsibility will undoubtedly have come about as a result of his country's unstable domestic politics.
We have dragged our feet during this process, so it is predictable that we would receive such a portfolio. We consume European politics, but we haven't contributed to it in a long time. We simply get what is left at the end.
On the contrary, says Zaharieva's EPP colleague Andrei Kovachev.
An absolutely wrong interpretation. This is an extremely good portfolio. Unfortunately, among the 10 most innovative companies in the world, there is not a single European one, since Volkswagen has dropped off the list. We, the EU, are late to the party, so we need to reduce the administrative and bureaucratic burden, especially for startups in the EU.
It is perhaps unsurprising that MEPs on the left are pretty unhappy about the composition of this new college. The left group's Martin Scherdervan, a German member, tells us why in a comment shared by AMS.
14 EPP commissioners, 1 from the ECR, 1 from the Patriots, 6 from Renew, 5 from the S&D. Yes, there is a massive shift to the right in the European Commission, and that will, of course, be reflected in the policies that this Commission will put forward in the coming years.
The S&D group is also aggrieved, in particular about losing the well-respected Commissioner for Job and Social Rights, Nicolas Schmit, although it retains a similar portfolio under Romania's Roxana Minzatu. Dropped as the Luxembourgish candidate in favour of EPP member Christoph Hansen, Schmit is said to feel personally betrayed by both his Prime Minister Luc Frieden and the Commission President herself. In an interview with Luxembourg's 100.7, Schmit confirms that VDL offered him a job as a special envoy instead, a role that he declined in no uncertain terms.
A consolation prize. I felt absolutely affronted. In fact, I considered it as being beneath my personal dignity.
And of course it goes without saying that for the Greens, it's a sore point, to say the least, that there is once again no Green name in the college. But we will not let the climate be put on the back burner, insists the Greens and the EFA co-chair, Bas Eickhout.
The issue of climate change is not going away, and maybe some political groups would love to see that, but it is not going away, and unfortunately we are seeing that reality hitting us almost on a weekly or monthly basis again.
Estonia's Kaja Kallas has long been touted as the next High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, so that appointment did not come as a surprise. Meanwhile, Lithuanian EPP member and former Prime Minister Andrius Kubilius has bagged the Defence and Space portfolio. And Slovenian PM Robert Golob is vocal in celebrating the portfolio that has been offered to his own commissioner-designate, Marta Kos, as RTV Slovenia reports.
Slovenia has achieved an historic coup. We have been entrusted with a great responsibility. By being given the enlargement portfolio, Slovenia has also been given the key to stability and peace, not only in the Western Balkans, but also in Eastern Europe.
Zhiniu Radias has picked up on a pattern here, namely that most of the foreign affairs-related jobs have gone to Central and Eastern European countries. Our Lithuanian colleagues asked Commissioner-designate Kubilius for his take on this.
It is clear that Ursula von der Leyen wants a certain kind of leadership in areas related to security, defence and foreign policy. And this leadership naturally comes from Central Europe, from the Baltic states, because, for one thing, we have the most experience here, because we are right next to the sources of threat. We're next to Russia, we know Ukraine, we are close to the war zone. And at the same time, it is quite clear, as Ursula von der Leyen herself said, that we have the greatest interest in the effective development of the EU here. It is therefore these compounding factors that give Central Europe these responsibilities, and that is a good thing.
The composition of the new college is subject to approval by the European Parliament and Council. The Commission is pushing for hearings in the Parliament to take place in mid-October, with a view to having the new college in post from the 1st of November. However, the Parliament is seemingly reluctant to play ball, both in terms of timescales and, potentially, the necessary votes. Indeed, von der Leyen's chosen commission is not yet a fait accompli, cautions Valentin Naumescu, Professor of International Relations at Romania's Babeș-Bolyai University, in an interview with Radio Romania.
In the European Union, any political decision is a compromise between different interests. It is normal for this to be the case, so we should look at it with lucidity and realism. It is good that we have provisional structure, and hopefully the hearings will go well and the vote will be one of approval. That said, I do not expect this period to be smooth sailing, with easy hearings and a comfortable vote. But remember, this wouldn't be the end of the world. There have been commissioners rejected in the European Parliament before, and I wouldn't completely rule it out this time either. There are some controversial figures, there are political games that some MEPs or parliamentary groups want to play. but it will ultimately move forward.
Estonian Renew Europe MEP Urmas Paet has spoken to Kuku Radio about the prevailing mood in the corridors of Parliament. He reminds listeners that if one proposed commissioner is rejected, then the whole college will be rejected en masse. Despite a number of objections to making Italy's Raffaele Fitto from the ECR group an executive vice president, responsible for cohesion and reforms, the main problem is likely to arise in relation to Hungary. Von der Leyen has offered Hungary's Commissioner Oliver Várhelyi the health and animal welfare portfolio, but rumours abound regarding the possibility of the vote going against him. However, while many members may not like the idea of having one of Viktor Orban's cronies in the college, Paet gently reminds them that the current proposal may be the lesser of several evils.
There is a lot of speculation right now. The argument against rejecting him is that the entire confirmation of the Commission will be delayed if any of the candidates are rejected, which means that if only the Hungarian candidate is rejected, then in a sense Hungary has once again got what it wants. It has been able to hold up the whole European Commission by putting forward its candidate. After all, since any new candidate would also come from Orban's ranks, it would make little actual difference in the end. What many people insisted on, though, was that Hungary's candidate should not be given a post related to foreign policy or enlargement policy, and von der Leyen made that change.
Notwithstanding a few bumps in the road, Jacob Kierkegaard, a senior fellow at Brussels-based economic think tank Bruegel, tells Euranet Plus that Ursula von der Leyen's prospects of getting her commission through are good.
But ultimately, this is a commission that I think has been put together with quite a lot of political finesse, insights and wisdom by von der Leyen. And it's therefore a commission that, I think at the end of the day will not have a big problem being confirmed by the European Parliament. I think the new Commission will be in office, certainly no later than by the time of Christmas. So they will be in office by the time the next administration in the United States takes office in early 2025.
But her challenges won't end there, of course.
First, she has to oversee the negotiation of a new EU budget. Well, the new EU budget is inherently a zero-sum game. The Commission and the EU will want more resources to meet all the goals that the EU has, as well as the Draghi recommendations, etc. And member states will be reluctant, I think you could say, to give more resources to the Commission. How Ursula von der Leyen will convince member states to give the Commission more money, I think would be really the most important test of her political leadership skills in the new Commission.
So we'll wrap up there. Do come back next week for another tour of the Euranet Plus network.